What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video. Today I thought we would take a look at ungraded, loose, complete action figures, vehicles, and things like that. So lots of really good data here. And for some of these, we've got multiple data points for the same figure or similar figures, variants, stickers applied versus unapplied for some of the vehicles, and then lots of last 17 loose, ungraded figures. So I just appreciate everyone that supports the channel. I don't say that enough. Thanks to my Patreon supporters. Really appreciate you guys. And as a reminder, for those of you that do have collections to sell, whether they're loose, loose complete, mint on card, loose graded, play sets, creatures, whatever you got, if you need someone that to buy that collection from you in a big bulk purchase, I've had several subscribers do that here recently, and everyone's been very, very happy. You can reach out to me by email, actionfiguregrader@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to put you in touch free of charge with some trusted buyers. And that goes for Star Wars Legos too. I do have somebody that's really interested in collecting some of the Star Wars Lego stuff. So let's dig into some awesome items. The first one is a really cool one. This is the Mail Away First 12 display stand. You don't see this pop up very often at auction. It included the original mailer box. Everything was in kind of rough condition, at least the box was. The stand looked to be in pretty good condition, though, and it also included that backdrop, which was also in pretty good shape. So really just the mailer box was in kind of rough shape, as well as the instruction sheet had some tears to it. But pretty cool to see that one come up in an auction. This is just something I haven't seen in a long time come up on eBay in an auction. $455 on 35 bids plus $20 shipping took that one home. So I've seen ones that are almost in near mint plus condition go for somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 depending on condition. So I think this one was appropriately discounted just given some of the condition issues of that mailer box. That's the big driver usually is what kind of shape is that backdrop in? Does it have any folds and tears? This one was in good shape, but the box was in really rough shape. That mailer box is usually the make or break point for what the sales price is on that, but pretty cool. Next up, we've got the 1978 X-Wing, and this one had the stickers applied with a box that was in decent shape, some pretty rough corners on it and things like that, but the X-Wing itself was in pretty good shape, and it included the catalog as well as the instruction sheet. The stickers were applied, and this one sold for $355 in an auction plus $15 shipping. Now another one came up where the stickers were unapplied, and that one is here. This one included the insert, and the box was in much better condition, as you can see. There's that insert. The X-Wing, I mean, that is as bright white as it gets for one of these original issue X-Wings. And as you can see there, the stickers are unapplied, and the instruction sheet was in very good shape with a protective cover there. Now, the little laser cannons were no longer inside what I think it usually comes in like a little baggie. So those laser cannons have come out of the baggie. So this would not apply for or qualify for qualified grading with AFA, for example. Everything has to be unused and everything has to be sealed, things like that. It's just the box itself is no longer sealed. So that precludes this one from being qualified grading because those laser cannons are loose. And I might be incorrect on that. Maybe those laser cannons did not come in a baggie, but I seem to remember them coming in a baggie. So, but still, this is a really nice example for those that just want to have a nice display piece or put it in a sledding acrylic case. And the price reflected that. It sold for $800 plus $35 shipping. And then I've got a few different Luke Farm Boys. This is probably the one that's in the worst condition. You can see that eyebrow has a lot of rub, and there's some kind of weird discoloration on the left-hand side of his face near his ear on the hair there. But this is the standard blonde-haired Luke, and this one is the two-line Hong Kong. So this is kind of one of the earlier Lukes. This one can be used, you can use this one to pair with a double telescoping saber Luke, for example. So two-line Hong Kong on that one. So this is an early one. Only $81 plus $8 shipping. That's probably about fair. Now this is the light brown hair Luke Farm Boy. A little bit more desirable, I would argue. And this one is the, this is the Hong Kong. I think. No, this is the GMFGI 1977 No COO. So this is what would appear in like Palatoys. And this one was over in the UK. So this is the No COO light brown hair Luke. And this one was listed for 170 pounds. And the best offer that was accepted was 155 pounds. So about, well, let's call it about 175 to 180 US dollars. But that figure was in great shape. I mean, look how clean that one was. Not much discoloration, if anything, on the arms. The eyebrows, everything was in really great shape. This is probably an 80 plus condition minimum, if not 85. And again, the price reflects that. Now, the most desirable one is this one. This is the dark brown hair Hong Kong. We've talked about this one in past videos. Very, very desirable to get this really dark brown hair example. And tough to find. It came on ESB card backs. A little bit of discoloration in the crotch area and on the belt there, but I mean, come on. This is the dark brown hair Hong Kong Luke Farm Boy, a very, very tough one to find. And again, the price reflected that. We saw another one that sold in a recent market update that I believe sold for $263. This one sold for $249 plus $6 shipping. So about the same price. So keep an eye out for this one because this dark brown haired Luke Hong Kong COO is very, very desirable. A little bit of pinkish hue to the limbs. So this is probably like a low 80, maybe a 75 plus, but still very, very tough to find that dark brown hair Hong Kong COO Luke Farm Boy. $250 took that home. And now I've got 3 different Droid Factory R2-D2s that sold. None of them were perfect, but at least gives you an idea of what they sell for. I don't know what's going on with the tape on this one, whether it's, there's a problem with it, but you can see that this one's in pretty tatty condition, pretty rough, and by no means perfect, but again, this is about as good of a budget droid 3-legged R2-D2 as you can find. I don't know if that's being wrapped around there because he just doesn't want the limbs to fall off or what. But, this is just kind of a display item. You probably have to use some putty or something like that. So this is the cheapest one I found. This one sold for $100 and $10 shipping. This one was in better shape, but again, the sticker was in pretty rough shape. It looks like it's got a piece of tape applied to it from where there was a tear. That one sold for $105. So that's kind of your lowest end option for a Droid Factory R2-D2. This one was advertised as near mint in the auction title, but it's not near mint. I mean, you can look at the sticker here and see quite a bit of wear, some wear to the dome as well, but certainly in better shape than the last 2 that I just showed you. And this one sold for about 40% more. This one sold for $140. Now, AFA 85 examples of the Droids Factory R2-D2, that can set you back $650 to $750. So again, this is a good budget option if you're looking for one and you don't want to spend AFA graded money on this one. It's a very expensive figure, just hard to find, obviously, since it came in that Droid Factory playset. So I just wanted to at least provide some lower end options for those of you out there looking to complete your display case with it. Next up, we've got a beautiful Tauntaun with Han Solo unbroken reins. So you know it's going to be a little bit more expensive. Those reins on the Tauntaun almost always break. And the box was actually in pretty good shape too. It didn't say whether it had the insert or not. So I'm assuming it did not have the insert for the Tauntaun, if there was one. I can't remember. But the Tauntaun was the highlight of this auction. I mean, that Tauntaun looked to be pretty much unused. So you really got to be careful with the if you're buying a Tauntaun because of those reins. They just break so easily, and they just dry out and age over. 40-year-old toys. Those reins can really easily crack and break. But this one looked to be pretty much near mint. $165 plus $12 shipping took that one home, and it included kind of a Han Solo without the blaster and then the box. So next up, we've got a Luke Skywalker Bespin, no COO with the kind of the mustard brown hair, and the torso on this one looks like it's slightly discolored, just barely discolored versus the limbs, but pretty good shape overall. I mean, the utility belt, all the kind of things hanging off of his waist there are in great shape in terms of the paint applications. The boots, look how clean those boots look. Really, really nice looking example there, and maybe just a little bit of wear to the hands, but it was complete. It just had a slightly discolored torso. Eyebrows, the hair color, everything was in really great shape. But this mustard hair Luke is one I don't have in the no COO. Really, really cool looking figure there. That one sold for $106 or 145 Canadian plus shipping. Next up was a Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight Hong Kong COO with the sewn cape and the green saber. And again, the Luke was in pretty great shape overall. Look at this close-up of him. Not much wear to the hand or the nose. Usually the flesh hand and the nose gets rubbed on that Luke Skywalker Jedi, but this one was in really clean condition overall. And that one sold for 165 US dollars or 225 Canadian plus shipping. And now let's dig into some last 17 before we finish off with a couple of really nice vehicles. The first one is Barada. I've got several different examples for Barada for those of you tracking what one of these costs loose and ungraded. This one looked to be in pretty clean condition overall. The big tell you got to look for on Barada, as I've talked about in past videos, is the backpack. This is where the most wear happens, and you can see on that backpack there's a little bit of wear to it. So you really got to zoom in on those photos. Check out the boot tips and the backpack, because that's where the wear is. That arm also has a little scratch on it, but the hands were in great shape. This one included the staff as well as his coin. The coin was not in great shape. It looks like it has some scuffing to it, but that's a good close-up right there. You can see on that backpack. That is almost always where the problem is on Barada. And there was a little bit of paint overspray, red paint overspray on one of the boots and on the... Well, it may not be overspray. The black was painted over potentially red plastic, is my guess, because it's on the heel as well as at the top of the boot. So this is probably like, what, a 75 grade Barada. That one sold for $108.50. And then the next one, this one looked to be pretty clean as well. Let's check out the backpack here, if I can get a good zoom here. The backpack looked to be in a little bit better shape, maybe a little bit of wear right here, a little bit of wear in the butt area, but I would argue this one's probably in cleaner condition, but it did not include the coin. It just had the staff. The front of Barada looked pretty good, maybe a little bit of discoloration on the torso area or the crotch area, but a very clean one. I would argue this one's probably a little bit cleaner than the other one. This one sold for $97 plus $10 shipping, but again, you know, that one did not include the coin like the other one did. And then finally was this one. This one sold for big money, $180. Looks like a little bit of a nick around here on the kind of bandolier that goes around his waist. And on the back, there's also a little bit of wear on the butt as well as on the backpack. So to me, this one's, of the three, this one was the least good of a deal, I guess. This middle one is probably the best deal. It looked to be in the best shape, although it's not without its issues. But, you know, anyway, for a Barada, it seems like in a 75 grade, which is what I'd argue all three of these are, $100, $108, and $180. So I think this one's probably a little bit of an overpay, but try to aim for $100 to $125 for kind of a 75 grade condition Barada. Next up, we've got Han Solo in Carbonite, and that one looked to be in pretty clean condition. The big thing for Han Solo in Carbonite is his chest can often get very discolored. This one doesn't look too bad, though. It looks to be in pretty good shape overall. And the price reflected that. It sold for $290. I mean, graded, they can sell for $350. So $289 for a near mint plus condition, ungraded, seems to be the going rate there. A Monomon, $262. You know, it's always tough with the Monomon because there's so many weird edges to it where rubs can happen. You can see maybe a little bit of a rub there on the back shoulder blade, but usually the rub is going to be on the face area, at the top of the head, things like that. It looks like it's got some dirt or discoloration on the chest and belly button area, but, you know, some of these last 17 figures, they have just weird angles, you know? Lots of weird angles. My wife says the same thing about my belly, so I can't talk too much. But this one sold for $262 in an auction, 16 bids plus $560 shipping, so another data point there. Next up is Yak Face. This one had some foot issues, as they commonly do. The big thing to look at with Yak are the feet, the tips of the feet. You can see there it's got a very pronounced rub, maybe a little bit of wear around the knee, and then the hands is the other area. And this is another figure where the torso can discolor pretty easily. So Yak Face just continues to go up in price, though. So this is probably your best budget option, is something like this. It's kind of like has a couple of minor flaws on it. And this one sold, it was listed for $435. The best offer that was accepted was $420. So $400 to, $450, somewhere in that ballpark for a 75 to 80 grade Yak Face. And then, graded, we've talked about that. I mean, AFA 85s have just gone through the roof. So AFA 80s, UKG 80s, probably more like $600 to $700 seems to be the going rate right now. But AFA 85s and above, I mean, those really, really have jumped up in price to $1,000 plus. A-Wing Pilot, this one did have some issues. The big thing with the A-Wing Pilot is to look at that chest apparatus, that silver paint there. You can see the obvious paint rubs there. And then, of course, on the hands is the other big area. This one looked to be pretty good on the hands. It's just that little silver piece on his chest is the big problem on that one. But and this one also did have some rub on the butt area. So who doesn't love a good butt rub, right? But this guy clearly does, because he's got some butt rub. And then the silver paint obviously has some issues. $300 took that one home. Again, graded in an AFA 85. You can pick this up for, I'd say, $400 to $450. So loose graded, it just seems like even with issues, you know, $275, maybe $300 is about as good as you're going to do right now if it's complete with a non-repro weapon. That's the big key, is to look for these to make sure they're non-repro and have a trusted seller there. Next up is a Last 17 Luke Stormtrooper. This one was listed for $450, but there was multiple sales prices on this one, so I don't know what happened. It sold on February 20th for $400, and then it got relisted on February 26th, and the best offer that was accepted was $275. So my gut says that that weapon is repro, that somebody sent it back and said, no thanks, I don't want your repro weapon. It also did have a big discoloration on the leg there, that pink discoloration there, but assuming that that weapon was legit, $275 is a bargain, but it sold multiple times, so that makes me think that somebody returned it and then the seller relisted it. So just got to be really careful and make sure you do your homework, and don't pull the trigger too quick without either vetting the seller or checking out close-ups of the weapons or accessories to make sure they're not reproduction. And let's finish the video off with a couple of really nice vehicles. The first one, of course, is the Power of the Force Tatooine Skiff, and this is advertised as complete. What a beauty there. This is a really tough to find item when it's not broken. Those vanes on the back, those kind of rudders can oftentimes break really easily. It's a very, very fragile toy. But this one was advertised as complete and working, and it sold for big money as a result. $600 on 14 bids. That closed on February 25th, and it included a couple of skiff guards, Nikto and Weequay there, but the highlight obviously is that loose, complete, and working and unbroken Power of the Force skiff. That's a beautiful item, and $600 took that home. And then finally, we've got the Imperial Shuttle, the 1984, complete and functional with working sound. And this one sold for $390. That seems like a bargain of a deal for that Imperial Shuttle. That's a monster of a toy. I like how the seller photographed this. It's kind of like on the forest moon of Endor on the landing pad with the Death Star out in the distance there. That's a really cool looking photo. But that one sold for $390 plus another $92 shipping. So let's call that almost $500 for a working Imperial Shuttle. And what a beauty. So anyway, just some kind of data points out there. You know, not everything in this video was perfect, but I try to kind of gear these loose, complete videos for those of you that hate grading or don't like grading and just want to get something to fill your display shelf and look for some good budget options for some of these harder to find Last 17, R2-D2 droids, Luke Farm Boys, things like that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.